So let's talk about enterprise chatbots. They're not just some futuristic concept anymore, are they? I mean, they're a real thing in a lot of workplaces, doing everything from streamlining IT support to handling customer questions. But as they pop up more and more, there's this huge question brewing in the background. Are they a real strategic tool, or are they just a super expensive distraction? Let's see what the data actually says. And look, this isn't just some abstract business school question. This is a real dilemma for managers everywhere. They're constantly being pushed to innovate, but they also have to deliver actual measurable results. Getting this wrong could mean a huge competitive disadvantage or just a massive waste of money. So, to get past all the marketing hype, we're going to dig into a new study that went straight to the source. 111 managers. These are the people on the front lines making these big calls every single day. And that gives us a pretty unique look into what's really going on. All right, so where do things really stand with chatbots in the business world? Are we still just talking about them, or are companies actually using them? The numbers here might just surprise you. Okay, so the big takeaway here, the chatbot revolution isn't on its way, it's already here. Almost half the managers in the survey are already in the game, either using or building chatbots. And for the other half, well, the pressure is on, because over 50% are watching their competitors roll them out. This isn't just a cool new toy anymore. It's quickly becoming a must-have to keep up. So we know what's happening, but let's get into the why. What's actually pushing managers to invest in this tech? And on the flip side, what's keeping them up at night? Getting a handle on these hopes and fears is totally key to making a chatbot project work. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. You might think chatbots are all about the customer, right? But nope. The number one reason managers are excited is actually internal. They're looking at chatbots as a way to boost their own team's productivity. You know, automating the boring stuff so people can focus on bigger, more important work. Sure, saving money and communicating better are big deals too, but it's that internal efficiency that's really driving the train. So, if the potential is so high, what's the big roadblock? Well, it's not some fear of a robot apocalypse. It's way more practical. The single biggest barrier is just making sure the thing actually works right, without glitches. And right behind that, the cost. No surprise there. Basically, it comes down to two things. It has to work, and the price has to be right. All right, now for a finding that might just flip your whole idea of what makes a good chatbot. Turns out what we think we want from a bot might be completely wrong. You know, there's this idea floating around that chatbots need to be, well, chatty. They need a fun personality, maybe crack a joke or two. But when you look at the data from a business perspective, it's pretty clear that function beats friendship. Managers aren't looking for a new buddy for the team, they're looking for a tool that gets the job done. And the numbers really back this up. Managers are kind of meh on whether a chatbot has a persona, and they're definitely not interested in a bot that can read emotions. The message here is loud and clear. In a professional setting, a chatbot's job is to be fast and accurate, not charming. And honestly, that's a huge insight. Don't waste your budget trying to make a bot witty when all your team wants is a tool that works. Okay, get ready for this because we're about to hit on the single most important finding from this whole study. There's one factor that seems to decide everything, whether a manager is a chatbot fan or a total skeptic. And I bet it's not what you think. So, what do you think it is? What's that secret sauce that separates the chatbot believers from the doubters? The researchers looked at everything you'd expect. Does it matter what industry you're in, or if you're a tiny startup versus a giant corporation? The answer, surprisingly, was no. None of that was the real difference maker. And there it is, the big aha moment. The single greatest predictor of how a manager feels, their optimism, their belief in the benefits, their support for the project, it all comes down to how familiar they are with how chatbots actually work. And this chart, it just lays it all out there, crystal clear. You can see this huge divide between managers who get the tech and those who don't. The ones who are familiar with it see way more benefits. This isn't just a small difference. It's a massive gap that tells us the biggest hurdle to adoption isn't the technology itself, it's a lack of understanding. Okay, so we know the problem is this knowledge gap. What's the solution? How do you actually get it right? Well, the study doesn't just point out the problem, it actually gives us a roadmap, a practical playbook for any manager trying to navigate this.
So the researchers didn't just stop at identifying the problem. They went a step further and laid out this strategic framework. Think of it as a guide for any company, a step-by-step process to get from, hey, maybe we should get a chatbot, to a successful rollout and beyond. The framework is super straightforward. It breaks down into three main phases. First, you've got to lay the groundwork with excellence and buy-in. Next, you build a solid business case. And finally, you jump into development. Let's just quickly walk through each one.
Phase 1. This goes right back to that huge finding we just talked about, the knowledge gap. Before you write a single line of code, you have to build awareness. You need to educate your leaders, get everyone on board, and create a culture that's actually excited about this stuff. A project is way more likely to succeed if people understand what the technology can really do.
Okay, once you've got people on board, it's time to get serious and build a business case. What specific problem are you trying to solve? Is it even possible, technically and financially? A big recommendation here is to start small. Do a little proof of concept to test your idea before you go all in with a huge investment.
And then we get to the final phase, development. The key here is to be agile. Build, test, learn, and repeat. It's also so important to get everyone involved, from IT to the actual end users. And remember, launching the chatbot isn't the finish line. You've got to have a plan for the long haul, maintenance, improvements, and training. And really, it all boils down to this one powerful quote from the study. After digging through all the data, what's the one thing that matters most? Managerial awareness. It's simple. Knowledge is power. So let's wrap this up. What's the big takeaway here? A chatbot could genuinely be the best new hire your company makes. The tech is there, it's ready. The only question left is, are you? Is your team ready to turn all this potential into a real-world win?